What a time we had at the Empower Me Wellness Retreat last year. It was an amazing experience for all who encountered it. It's about that time though. Let's get ready for 2025 Empower Me Wellness Retreat Daycation. Meet us, San Marcos, Texas. Registration is open September 19th. 2025's retreat will be a full day packed with wellness sessions, lunch, amazing fellowship, and lots of surprises. We strongly encourage those who plan to come to make a weekend out of it. Get your hotel room, consider a spa day, find a local walking trail, or just stay in your room, rest, and journal. Now that registration is open, grab your mother-daughter friends, grab your girlfriends, or make a solo trip and meet us there to relax, relate, and revive. Don't forget CamillaAntoine.com/retreat.
What's up, everybody? This is Minus the Blueprint. We are back with another episode. It's your girl, Shay.
Hey, everyone. It's Franny.
Well, Franny, how was your week? How has it been since the last time I seen you 48 hours ago?
Man, it has been, I'm so overwhelmed. I'm tired. I just got back from New York, celebrated my son's birthday, my brother's wedding. Yeah, and thanks for coming out to celebrate with him. And then my brother's wedding is Saturday, and I feel like there's so much stress. I don't even want to go into it, but yes, that's it. I am overwhelmed and tired, but still blessed and grateful. I'll just leave it at that.
You're handling it very well. I mean, you showing up, like you going from boom to boom to boom, like straight from New York to the birthday to hosting family to the wedding. You're handling it very well. Wish you could have a blessing.
But I do want to shout, my brother and his fiance, soon to be wife, out. Congratulations to Andre and Layla, and I wish them many, many years of bliss, happiness, and marriage. So I am excited, for the wedding day to get here. It's just so much leading up to it, but we're gonna have a good time with all our family for sure.
Congratulations to them. That's what it's about. I can't wait to talk about marriage on future episodes. Maybe we can bring them on. See how the first 30 days go.
That'd be a good idea for sure. How's your week going?
My week is busy, waiting to the last minute to do my CPE credit. So shout out to procrastination. One day I'll learn to get it done on time and I'm not rushing. But, definitely thankful for the invite. My kids really enjoyed themselves. It was like, oh yeah, everyone was so nice. I'm like, yeah. They got to try new things, shocked me a little bit. So good to step out comfort zone. So everything is going all right so far.
Good. But I'm always excited to hop into a new episode. And so tonight our topic is the finance blueprint. And so we're going to talk about finances. The crux of this is financial stability, right? I think that is almost 100% of everyone in life's goal is to be financially stable, not have to worry about money or living check to check. And so we want to bring some of our lived experience and knowledge to you all. So because but I'm not the expert in all. If I pass it back to her, though, to kind of lead a discussion.
No. So, yes, I think I want to start off with the learned behavior of, finances, how I basically grew up. So, growing up, I think we struggled, my mom, she didn't really build a career. She had like ins and out jobs, but really didn't like invest in herself from a financial standpoint. So we struggled a lot. It wasn't modeled in a way that I knew how to handle money from a young age. It was modeled from a way of we struggled, we knew we struggled, and we were all a part of this struggle. right? Um, so that was pretty much my blueprint. So when I got my first job, I was living with someone else who was basically a family friend. Again, if you get the book, which I'm hoping to be out end of this year, beginning of next year, you'll see that full journey. But I got my first job when I was about 15 years old, working at McDonald's, and that first check was $115. So when I got the check, he said, "Hey, we're going straight to the bank, and you're going to put $100 in savings," because at the time I was under 18. You could only open up a savings account, and you're going to keep $15 to yourself. So right then he taught me, like, hey, it's always important to put money aside. And it was a lot easier to do when you didn't have any. Well, I didn't have any expenses. I probably had a minute phone or something like that, because it was back in the day. Couldn't get a contract. That was a big thing back then. It's a little, pay as you go phone. So I didn't really have a lot of expenses. But what it taught me was, let me put a little bit of money to the side, because a rainy day will come. And I was able to buy my first car at 16. How about you? How was your blueprint growing up, and how was money modeled for you and your family?
We didn't really talk about money. It kind of goes back to the era that we were raised in, or the generation we were raised in, where, that's grown folks' business, stay out of it. You don't ask about bills, but we definitely had financial struggles for sure, lights off at some point, but we didn't question it, right? Because I think we kind of trusted that, our parents would take care of it. It's none of our business. And we don't dare ask, like, can you get these lights back on? Like, what's up? Like, you just roll
Yeah.
with it, right? So I didn't really have a print either. I think I got my first credit card like 18, where I was ready to get it started. I'm like, oh, free money. Really about the and then my Burger King, shout out, I've been working since I was about 15. And the mindset that I want to make money, I want to have my own, but I didn't know like the value of it, or the value of a dollar, right? It was toy or a cell phone, a little Nextel, chirp chirp. But I had like a dog walking business when I was younger. I remember having, yeah, I remember having like aspirations to start like my own kids magazine at one point. So I knew I wanted money. I just didn't, again, understand like the value of a dollar. So.
Well, how was money modeled for you growing up?
That's a great question. I don't really think like my blueprint with finances just wasn't there. And I don't think it was out of like neglect or anything, right? It was just that we were raised in that generation of you mind your business, you stay at a grown folks' business, like we got this. Yeah. So even though we were, without lights sometimes and the struggle was real, we still just trusted that, our parents would take care of it. But we're not going to be like, you need to go ahead and get these lights back on. What's up? Like didn't dare question our parents, but, always, they definitely always found a way, but we never talked about, credit or having a savings account or, 401ks. Like those conversations just didn't come up. And so that could have just been because they didn't have those conversations with their parents or whatnot. But I kind of just learned my way through life, how to deal with stuff, probably harder than I needed to, right? Like falling before I actually learned, how to manage money and whatnot. But I always was very motivated to get money. I had a dog walking business when I was younger, started on my own. I remember wanting to do a kids magazine, like, oh, I can't remember the name of the one.
Young entrepreneur.
I can't remember the name of the magazine that was out around like.
Is it Word Up? Or is it before that?
It was Word Up, but it was there was another one. But whatever it was, I'm like, oh, I need to do like a magazine like by kids for kids. And so that dream kind of dwindled. But yeah, I was always like thinking of ways. Now that I think about it, I always was thinking about like ways to make money or whatnot. But really not understanding the value of a dollar, because that's different, right? Like you can make all the money you want, but if you can't manage it, if you don't know how to deal with it, you're gonna be, making as much as you would if you weren't, if you didn't have a good paying job. So I definitely have a lot of stories growing up where I was just like, damn, like, you just dwindle away that money, even like with college, right? Having those big refund checks.
The downfall of the refund check, I definitely get that.
Did you get caught up in that, or were you already at the point in your life?
No, I was 18 going to school and they handed me a bunch of money. Like, what is this for? You know, but I want to backtrack on one thing too, because I did say when I talk about like growing up, my first 11 years I lived with my grandfather. He worked at GM. He worked every single day. I mean, everything was paid. You know, we thought he had money because back in the day, you know, you work for GM, you thought that was almost like middle class right there because that's how much they got paid for back in the day. But as far as once I moved with my mother, that's when we seen the struggle, and it was like it wasn't, hey, that's grown folks' business, because I'm like, I can't read, the lights is out, you know, what we gonna do, you know. Again, catch it in the book. I got a whole chapter on hustle, so you can understand a little bit of the money struggles that I had to overcome at a young age. But I was also very savvy as a kid. But like you said, it's easy to make money. It's hard to keep it. That's what I tell my son all the time. You can make money really quickly, but keeping it and managing it is very difficult. And if you can't manage $10, you can't manage 100, and you cannot manage 1,000. You cannot manage 10, and you definitely can't manage 1,000,000. So managing money is so important. But to get back to the refund check downfall, if you want to call it that, I know I spoke on like, okay, you know what? When I got to Howard, I didn't have the money, but I didn't understand money either. I didn't understand how financial aid worked. I just know that they told me take out this money. I took it out, and then at the end of the semester, they gave me a bunch back. And I was like, I want to live.
Yeah, that's where I was. I'm like, wait, I get to choose? Like, what do you mean? And like, of course, books were like $1,000,000, right? So I always had to account for the books that were however much. Man, college textbooks were expensive. I'm pretty sure they still are. And then just knowing that, I was like, wait, and then I get 5,000, 6,000 back. Again, not in my head knowing like, girl, you got to pay this back. This isn't your money. Like, and we weren't taught that, right? And so that's one thing I think with the government, like they need to give financial literacy classes when they're giving young people this kind of money, right? It's so easy to get that money. So they need to teach kids how to like properly manage it. Because if I had known, I don't even know if I still would have been like, nah, keep your money. Because it's like just the thought, if you've never had that kind of money at once, you're just like, I got to buy A, B, and C, and D, you know? So
all the expenses that come with college. I think that you said a good thing. Maybe it should be part of like the FAFSA application, like some type of financial literacy class. That would be dope, because they're still going to give the kids money. What are you going to do with it? Save it, apply it to next semester. But there's that
it should be a requirement. It should be a requirement if they're going to, take that refund money. And then on top of the refund money, my stepdad, he was in the Vietnam War, and he was exposed to Agent Orange. A lot of Vietnam veterans were, and so a lot of them contracted like leukemia or other like life-threatening diseases from it. And so they considered him 100% disabled. So all his kids and his stepchildren were able to attend school, but they would get like a check for going to school. So I remember it started off with like maybe 2,000, and then eventually by the time I graduated, it creeped up to maybe the high 3,000s. But when I first got it, it was like a big lump sum because I had they gave me retroactive, and it was almost 15,000. I didn't know how to act. Okay. And I was like, just out here with my refund check and working. What?
You know?
And then every month I would get it. So imagine like 4 years of getting that money, refund check money, and working. Baby girl, what did you do with it? And I'm talking to myself. What
did your mom know, like, did your parents know you were getting a refund check? Did they sit you down like, hey, you getting all this money? This is what you should be doing? Or were you telling them? Or did you keep it to yourself? Like the amount?
I've always been private about money. So
I got the check, but y'all don't know what it is. You go get that bag real quick.
Right. So I don't even know if I would, again, don't know if I would have even listened at that age. Like, this is a chunk of money in my account. I got things I need to do. Right. And then I also was at the dumb age of like, had a boyfriend and, I don't want to say taking care of him, but taking care of him. So just dumb money decisions that kind of I'm hoping to be able to, because I've now, gone over that hump, that's now going to prevent my son from having to go through the same mistakes. And so,
Yeah, I think that's one of the mistakes that I had also was taking on too much debt, almost living above my means. I think like when I was working for probate court, so for a while I worked for probate court while I was going to school. I was okay. I never took on debt at that like my early 20s. I didn't take on much besides just my student loan. And I remember always being proud of the fact that I didn't take that on until a friend convinced me. I think it was like we were working at Hewlett Packard, and they had a credit union inside. And so she was like, yeah, let's just see what happens. And I'm like, okay. And so the lady ran my credit, and she was like, ooh, do you know how high your credit score is? I was like, girl, no, I pay the bills though. Well, I wasn't paying attention. And she was like, yeah, you can get everything. You can get this credit card, and you can get a car loan. And I'm just calculating all this. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take it on. Let me take it on. So I got the credit card, and I got the car loan, got a new car. So I was just acquiring all this debt because I thought, hey, I needed this because I'm at this quote unquote status. So I started to live above my means, which put me in a bad situation because now I have more debt than I have income. So I'm almost living paycheck to paycheck at this point. Like all my bills got paid, but it wasn't nothing else left over. So now I'm spending on a credit card to get things that I want, more things that I want, because I can justify, I can make the minimum payment. Or I can make a little bit more because the minimum payment could have been $50. But I feel like if I pay $60, that's what they say. Just don't pay the minimum.
yeah,
I pay a little over the minimum. So I'm good, right? So I was putting myself in this trap. And then at the time I would get income tax refund and I'll pay the credit card off and I'll do it all over again the next year. And so instead of understanding like really how that debt worked, taking it on and being able to know that, hey, the amount that I have is important that I can pay within 30 days and not have this recirculating debt over and over and over again. Did you fall down, besides refund checks and student loans, which is a whole nother thing, did you fall down that debt trap hole of taking on too much?
Yeah, I don't even think I understood like APRs and like interest rates, et cetera, until I was like late 20s, which is sad. I didn't educate myself. People around me didn't, I don't want to say offer that information, but like we just weren't knowledgeable, right? And so, oh man, I remember I paid off a debt, and because the monthly amount was so low, I didn't even pay attention. I was like, it comes out of my account, it's getting taken care of. It's on time, my credit's good. But I almost paid triple of what the original debt was by the time I was done paying it. And it was just such like a kick in the gut to where I was like, okay, you got to start really paying attention to what people, because they're going to offer you the shiny penny, right? They're like, it's right here, but they're not going to, you got to read the stipulations. Yeah. And you're going to pay that. Yeah, you're gonna pay that penny off for 100 years. So, yeah. So, like I said, a lot of my financial mistakes for sure have strengthened my awareness, heightened my awareness for putting my name on the dotted line. And even saying that, I've co-signed for cars. Like, yeah, sure. Let me put my name on.
Now, that's one thing I never did. No offense.
Oh no, this is a judgment-free zone.
It is. It is. That's because I had nobody I can trust.
What? And I didn't. It was trust, but it also was like, well, it's their debt. I'm just helping them out, right? So again, I didn't understand
how that follows you too. You're liable for that too. Mm-hmm.
And liable I was. So it was not. Yeah, a lot of bad money mistakes. But I definitely want our viewers to learn like something from us, right? Just in case they don't have that blueprint. And so like some tidbits that they can take back to and apply to their own lives and things like that.
Yeah. So once I realized I was in this, I guess, lose-lose situation, that's what it felt like. I believe in three staples in my life of being centered. That's physically, spiritually, and financially. And if any of those are off, that contributes a lot to the mood I am in. So realize living a paycheck to paycheck is depressing. It feels like you never have enough. Like financial stability is so important to your mental health, just because in it your quality of life, right? Because if you're struggling, it just feel like it's just the worst feeling, right? So what I had to do is learn how to budget, right? Well, for one, what was I spending it on? Why did I feel the need to have to spend more than what I was making? And I think it was tied a lot to my emotions and tied a lot to this perceived status that I thought I should be. I want to hang out and do what everybody else is doing. And so I used my credit card to do that, or I, whatever, took on more debt that I needed to be in this whatever perceived status I felt like I should have been in, right? And so it's really understanding what was the driving factor of that, because a lot of our finances is tied to emotional spending, trauma spending, and things like that. So I had to get real with myself on that and get to the bottom of that. The second thing I did was a budget. I had to put a name to all my spending, and really when you actually look at that and you go back to say, okay, the last 3 months I spent X on fast food, I spent X on subscriptions, I spent X on going out and doing all this stuff, and I didn't have no budget. Is what if I felt like I wanted it, I did it, right? Because the money was in the bank account. So I had to put a name to it. I had to tell my money where it's going to go. So each check I budget where I was going to put this, how much I was going to do this, because it wasn't that I wanted to have a boring life. I just needed to have a bucket of how much I was willing to spend so I don't overspend, right? How about you? Like, how did you overcome that?
So I have to shout out my cousin because she does something in finances, right? I don't know what anybody does, but she does something with numbers. And so she something with numbers.
Franny
And
don't
so
know nobody's job. She know they work in the industry.
I don't. You said you work with money? Okay, so you do everything. But no. But I have to give credit to her because she kind of helped me organize, and I did. I created a budget as well. And so now what I do is track my finances. Like I have a budget for each month. It's pretty standard for each month. And then I categorize like all my bills and things like that. So I actually, and you're right, it is a whole different ballgame when you see like visually like everything in one like setting, because you can spend your money and you're looking at your account and you're seeing, okay, this is debited, this was debited. But when you're seeing like on a month basis and you're like, now did you really just spend $6,000 on take like it's ridiculous. So that really for me too, when I started getting more, and that's always been my New Year's goal, like, okay, I'm gonna get my stuff on track and I'm gonna, build my savings and stuff like that. So when I really did sit down and do it, I was shocked at how much meaningless money I spent. So that's definitely been helpful for me is creating a budget. I also use the snowball method by Dave Ramsey, which I know is a really popular method. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about it, but that's basically paying off a small debt and then being able to, be proud of, okay, I paid off this $500. Now I can go on to the next. And it kind of is giving you like an intrinsic reward because you're like, oh, well, like I can really do this. And you're starting small. Yeah. So that was a method that I used to pay off debt. And it's discipline, just like you got to have it in every area of your life. It's discipline. And it's like what you owe yourself, what you owe to yourself so that you can have freedom in a sense. So yeah, so budgeting spreadsheets, that's what I've been doing to get towards my financial goals.
And I want to say the thing about budgeting, I think some people get like, oh man, it's so hard, I don't want to do it. It's not a one size fits all. It's not that, hey, this is how I did it, so this is how you should do it. But for me, a lot of things I had to say no to because I got accustomed to that. I got accustomed to going to Tim Hortons, getting my coffee every morning, or Dunkin', getting a coffee every morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, coffee place. I know Tim Hortons, right? Going there every single morning. I had to set a budget for that because I didn't realize, you'll say, okay, $2 a day or Dunkin' might be $6 if I get a macchiato or whatever. That adds up. Or eating out for lunch every single day, like that started to add up. So I had to really say, okay, if I want to do it, not saying I'm depriving myself from it 100%, but it's like I'm only gonna spend X amount on all type of like coffee and lunch. And once I go over that, then I have to, bring my lunch, or I had to make my coffee, or I had to drink coffee at work, whatever the case may be. So really just being strict and sometimes telling myself no, even if I want it. It's like, okay, you don't have it. You don't have to have it. So being okay with telling yourself no in the midst of wanting something, that's where you break that habit. Because I think it becomes a habit with your finances. Like, okay, whatever. If it's in there, I'm going to spend it. So you got to have to be, like you said, disciplined enough to say, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stick to the budget and see how that pays off.
And I think during COVID, like I became like that also helped with discipline because you couldn't go out to eat with friends. Like you really had to eat at home. Like you were stuck in the house. So you kind of had to adapt to a new lifestyle. And so I remember that was probably my biggest period where I saved a lot because I wasn't spending money on gas. I wasn't spending money on eating out. Like, because when you go in the office, people are like, okay, what do we have for lunch today?
I know you could have brought your lunch, but then somebody like, oh, let's go do this. You like let's go. Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So it was like COVID was probably my best period of spending money. And so it's just like, even in those circumstances that let me know that I'm disciplined enough to do it. I just got to push myself instead of like, I don't have to have extreme circumstances to do it. You know what I'm saying? I just have to have that discipline. So, yeah, the no is pretty big. And I will say this, and I think I said in the travel episode, I just have I teeter-totter, right? Because I know I work hard. I work very hard. And so I think, and when you said emotional spending too, like my emotions is like, well, damn it, I done, worked myself to the bone this week. I deserve to like splurge a little or, go and spend $200 on my nails, or I don't spend 200. Okay, I have
let's see the nails. Let's see the nails. Just kidding.
Okay, we'll get to the wedding, but I have once or I have once or twice.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
But like you want to splurge because I get so overwhelmed sometimes, and I'm like, forget it. I deserve whatever A, B, and C. And so I think me telling myself no is something that I have to learn to do, and also telling other people no. Like if they're like, "Hey, girl, let's buy these concert tickets. Let's go."
Message.
And I'm only laughing. I got to tell them I'm laughing because everybody, okay, I hope you guys all heard the announcement of Brandy and Monica coming on tour. Me and Shay are, so that was our error. And I was like, girl, how much you want to spend on these tickets? Because I'm ready. Like, so she did.
So you would have had us on the stage, and I was like, dang, I don't know if I could have afforded that. I don't know if that was right, but I'm trying to be on stage too.
Look. And so she gave me a budget, and I'm going to be honest, y'all. I have not texted her back the price of the ticket, and I went over a little bit, but we'll talk about that off air. Okay. I went over a little bit.
You know what? I had a feeling, but it was okay because I knew in my mind I was good. I told you a less amount, but I did give you a price. For Mary, and I knew the amount that I gave you was less than what we spent on Mary. So I was like, let's just see what she did.
Okay. Come on, Jennifer mind tricks. So, but no, saying no, like even like I said, if Shay didn't want to go to the concert, obviously, I would have accepted that. But saying no to myself, saying no to, other people when they're just like, let's fly to Dubai, right? That's my big thing. So I'm like, I have FOMO. I'm like, fear of missing out. I want to live this life. And I'm like, well, what if I die in a plane crash tomorrow? You know what I'm saying? Let me just spend my money. Yeah, God spare life. God spare life. I don't, whatever. But I'm just saying, right? Just like with traveling, like I don't want to say no because I want to experience everything. But it's also setting yourself up and building a legacy is important too. So.
And I want to touch on that too. It's not saying no, like you'll never be able to go to Dubai because, I'm going to be in Egypt. Like I told you before, like that image of the old couple, I don't know why it haunts me for some reason, sitting outside the pyramid, because now they finally got to the pyramid is something that's a nightmare. And I just keep that in my mind. But I think that the reality is doing those things responsibly, right? Being able to go to that concert responsibly, being able to go on these trips and not, hey, I'm going to spend my rent money. Because there are people that are out there that would neglect the things that they need to get done for something that they want. And what we're trying to get to and hopefully educate people on is how do you get what you want without sacrificing your needs? And I think budgeting and saving is important. Like if you know you're gonna go on a trip X amount a year, you look at what you spent on the last year, already set that up for your budget. You do it any like the thing about when you have to renew your medical insurance and stuff like that, they set that budget up too, the like a couple months before, like, hey, it's about to go up this amount. You already know that you got to allocate for how much is about to go up in the next year. Do the same thing. If you're saying like, hey, you know what, these are the trips that I want to do, so get comfortable with planning ahead and get comfortable with a little bit of wiggle room. A budget doesn't have to be tight and suffocating. It just, you do have to be disciplined to reach your goals and prioritize saving. That's another thing. That's the most important thing, honestly. If you have a hard time, I have people that in my family that comes to me and say, hey, can you put this money up for me? Because I can't, if I see it, I'm gonna spend it. They have no self-control. And I always say, like, come on, you gotta, in order for that muscle to grow, you're gonna have to do it. Now, sometimes I do it and they right back in my door to later on, like, all right, I need 10 of it now. I need 15 of it now. And that drives me crazy. So I usually try to say no. But if you are that person, you need to work on small things, like save $5 and see if you can leave it for 2 weeks. Then up it to $10, see if you can leave it 2 weeks. Or get a savings account that you don't have access to, like LI, something that's an online banking, it direct debited out your account into that account. You don't see it. It's just tunnel vision. If that helps you save, whatever you need to do, but don't create something so tight that you restrict yourself, because the moment that you start spending, you'll go crazy with it.
Yeah, and LI's a HYSA. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh, high yield savings account. Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely go for the high yield savings account. We want to do another episode too on investing, where we get a little bit more in detail on more investments that you can put your money to make more. But I always do believe in having multiple checking and savings accounts. You need to have an operating account. I always feel like at least 2 months of your expenses in there, if you can get up to, that's a good goal. Hey, I want to have 2 months of expenses in my operating account, nothing more, because then your money is not making money. So then you move the rest of it into a high yield savings account. So while it's sitting there, you're actually earning something on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have a few different accounts. Because it's hard, right? Like, especially when you're first starting out on this financial journey, be like, well, I got $100 in that account and I need this again, or want this, excuse me. Let me say want this, because needs are very much different than needs, wants. So it's hard seeing that money sitting there. So definitely I agree with an account where you can't see it, or getting it automatically debited from your income going into an account that, and you never see it, and that therefore you're not tempted. So that's definitely some good advice. The high yield savings account. I can't remember which other one I use, but if I remember, I will drop it in the comments when
or just Google it. I mean, any type of high yield savings account, look it up and see what fits you. Because again, I don't believe financial goals is a one size fits all. What works for me may not work for Franny, and what works for Franny might not work for me, and what might not work for the next person. So you have to be able to customize it. And if it isn't working, if that budget isn't working, you can always adjust it. You got to adjust it to your lifestyle.
What would you say is a good percentage for a high yield savings account for people that may not know?
Right now, I would say anything. I believe it's like 5. See, we can say it right now. Next week it change, but right now I think it's over 5%. So I say anything over 5% is really good, and that's 5 basis points, or however if you're finance, 5% is pretty good.
Okay, you said 5 what?
The basis points on it. We'll get into that when we start talking about investment, how basis points and different type of investments work. Because you have, if you get to the point where you have X amount into savings, you might want to move it into something a little bit more riskier, where you can earn a little bit more money on it, or you might want to throw into more long-term things like bonds and stuff like that. So it really depends on your financial goals and what you're trying to achieve. But a high yield savings account is a good step one.
Yeah. So we got budgeting, putting value or face to your money, telling your money where it's going. And then we have the HYSA, the high yield savings account. So those are some 3 tips that we have for you all so far. And again, the goal of this episode specifically is getting to financial stability. And so
What a time we had at the Empower Me Wellness Retreat last year. It was an amazing experience for all who encountered it. It's about that time though. Let's get ready for 2025 Empower Me Wellness Retreat Daycation. Meet us, San Marcos, Texas. Registration is open September 19th, 2025's retreat will be a full day packed with wellness sessions, lunch, amazing fellowship, and lots of surprises. We strongly encourage those who plan to come to make a weekend out of it. Get your hotel room, consider a spa day, find a local walking trail, or just stay in your room, rest, and journal. Now that registration is open, grab your mother-daughter friends, grab your girlfriends, or make a solo trip and meet us there to relax, relate, and revive. Don't forget CamillaAntoine.com/retreat.
I think another point that we wanted to touch on was about, teaching the basics, teaching our kids about money. And so what have you begun to do that's different from how you were raised?
Yeah, I think that my introduction when I first got my first job was the perfect example of like, all right, straight to the bank, put it in a savings. I did the same thing with my son. He wanted a PlayStation 5. So this was a few years ago. I could not find this PlayStation 5 anywhere. This is where they were flying off the shelf. And I wanted to get it for him so bad because I was just like, oh, he wanted it. I'm going to get it for him, But I'm actually blessed.
Okay, I got to pause you because when we said no, say no to your kids. Those are the ones that are bleeding you dry.
For real.
I was going to say it and I forgot because I can't.
Like, can I have it? And you like,
what? And then you're like, no, but then you go back and you get it anyway.
Let me take a little bit from this, a little bit from that. But yeah.
Them crumb snatches.
Little bro friends. Well, he got his first job. So when we couldn't find a place, I was like, well, if you get a job and you save up half, I'll match half, So he got the job and he was so happy. He had all the money to buy it for himself. So he did it. So he saved every single check until he was able to buy it. And then he wanted an Oculus Quest. He did the same thing. So once he got the two things that he wanted, that was it. It was like, okay, well, PlayStation taking the money now because he got the PlayStation. So he got to get the skins. He got to get this and he got to get that. And I'm like, sir, you need to work for PlayStation at this point. They're taking all your money. And I told him too, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, it's almost like you're going to be a slave to that place. You're not going to have any financial freedom. And if you don't learn these lessons now, it's going to be harder when you're an adult. You're going to struggle a lot. And so teaching them how to budget. And one of the ways I taught him how to budget and also still teaching him is they see my budget. They see the finances that come in. They see the expenses. What should we put to the side? Things like that. So I taught my daughter also my daughter's 10. So my son is 17 now. So he's still learning the part of needs versus wants. My daughter, she is more, I'm going to hold on to this dollar. I ain't going to let it go. She's that type of kid. But I'm also teaching her how to go to the store by herself and shop and things like that. So I am so proud of her. I gave her $7. I was like, we need some toilet paper. Go ahead and figure it out, right? So she went to Dollar General. She was so excited. She came back with a lot of money. I'm like, wait, did you get one ply? What like, what's the toilet paper? So she actually looked and she was like, yeah, I was looking for what was on sale. This was $2.65 because it was on sale today. And I got it. And I'm like, okay, I'm really happy. And she was really proud that she came back with almost $5 or $4. And I'm like, okay, she's going to be all right. So she kind of understands it a little bit, but she's only 10 again. So she hasn't gotten into that age where she's wanting to spend a lot. But my teenager, I work really hard with him because he's almost grown. He's want to go to college and things like that. So I want him to really understand the value of a dollar. And we say the same thing. It's easy to earn $1, but it's hard to keep it. And so just keep saying it like, hey, it's easy to earn, hard to keep. And when he goes over his budget, then he's like, well, Mom, can I have? And I'm like, Well, you have a job, but sometimes I do give it. So yeah. What about you?
Listen, when I was growing up, I was like your daughter. Like, I was so proud to bring back change from a field trip or from the store. Like, look, I saved this money, and I was tight. Like, I was like, it's mine. So I was like her. But for Eli, for my son, now that we're having this conversation, I realize that I am still, because I know I just said I'm private with money. Like, I'm private with money about him. Like you're saying, like you let your kids see your budget. I'll be like, that's not your business. So now I'm realizing that I've picked up some traits from my parents, right? And it's not to say that I'm not, I haven't taught him about money, but like he definitely hasn't seen my finances or understands how much his mother really, puts out on things. So that's
How much is
actually,
mortgage cost?
pardon?
I'd be like, how much you want to see how much his mortgage is? Like, and especially when they leave the lights on, like that's they're on summer vacation. So look at the light
Yes.
bill. Because y'all driving it up.
Listen, so now I'm like reflecting. So this is a good conversation because it's opening my eyes. Like maybe he needs to see that. Like I don't, need to be so private with him. If anybody, like he needs to see like how much is coming in and how much is going out. But we all also will always we have a credit union as one of our accounts, and so I've always had him signed up for like it's a kids club, so they send out a money magazine once a month, like a little newsletter, and it has like little financial tips. So I remember we were doing that for quite a few years, and then letting him.
I think
Pardon?
I know what you're talking about with the credit union. I have seen those too.
Yeah. So that was good because it gave me, conversation starters with him. So, excuse me. So we've done that.
One thing too, though, it just popped in my mind. I do want to apologize though. If indeed you're in a space to show your kids, like if you're struggling from paycheck to paycheck, I wouldn't say, hey, let's show them that. Just because sometimes kids take that on as a personal thing and they try to feel like, hey, I got to do certain things because we're not making it. Like that's not the burden to lay on a kid. I feel as if you're in a position to, show them how to budget, maybe not show them everything, but show them certain things. I was just thinking like you don't want to put that message out there and then like kids are burdened by the struggles of the household as well.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's a good point to make for sure. Yeah, we're just talking in general, like if you're able to show, exemplify to your children like income versus expenditures in a healthy manner. But yeah, so I got some work to do on my teenager too, for sure. Because he's also cheap, right? Like he's got money in his account, but he wants to swipe mama's card, and and I'm like, sure, like so yeah. He's I think he'll be pretty good with money as far as like he's not big into like brand name clothes or shoes and stuff like that. He's a humble kid. So he's never been like, I need this, and this. Even when I try to offer him money for, getting A's in school, it's like, I don't need that, mama. Yeah, you don't need it because I'm just like so, but no, he's a humble kid. So, but getting and my brother was really good with him, which we're not going to talk about in this, go into it in this episode. But my brother was really good with him and talking to him about like investing, and they went to classes and stuff. So, again, having that, getting your kid. And there's so much like internet has online classes. There's probably classes in your community to get your kids involved in. Just doing research, but it is something vital. And I know a lot of people say that it should be a part of kids' curriculum, which I wholeheartedly agree, but it's not. So we have to supplement, right? And that's something that is hard.
Take them to the bank with you. Show them the real practical things that, we just had to learn as we grew up. I think it's really important. Like I was just going to say the same thing. Most people say, oh, school should teach us. Well, you got to bring it out in the house and teach it to them too, because it's so important to make sure that they are set up for life when it comes to finances.
Yeah, I never want to blame it. Be like, well, the school didn't do it, so sorry, kiddo, you're on your own, right? Like that's our responsibility to make sure our kids have as much knowledge, especially in this day and age, right? Like it's too much out here for us not to make sure our kids are getting, knowledge about it. So, so yeah, I definitely recommend for your kiddos, get them involved in some kind of financial literacy. There are free ones, even the local library. Like people don't utilize the library enough anymore. There's so many things. There's so many things at your local library, and having open conversation. I think honest, open conversations with your kids about money too. Don't be scared to talk about money with your kids. That's another thing that
One
I
other
would
thing
say.
too, if you're in a good position with like debt and credit cards and things like that, you can always add your kids to your credit card so that you could be
Yeah.
building their credit as you're doing things. So that's another thing too, to set them up for life when we're thinking about, okay, when when they're 18, they don't have to start from scratch because you've done the things that you needed to do to make sure that their credit is good, and also teach them good credit management. I tell my son when he was like, "Oh, can I borrow?" I said, "You can borrow it, but it's gonna make your future self poor. So be very strategic on the money that you borrow and how you go about it. Don't get too comfortable with it if you cannot afford it, because what you're doing is, hey, you might get, I don't know, $300. Now you about to be $50 less. Did you budget for
Mhm.
that? You know, things like that. So
Yeah. And that takes me into saying, because I have had conversations with him too about using a credit card. And again, it comes back to like reading everything, right? So, and this is me learning this at a late age about credit cards. Like, yes, they'll give you the money up front, and then in order not to pay interest on it, you got to pay it back within a certain time period. So this is for people that still may not know. Make sure you're aware of your credit card's closing date, because after that date, if there any debt that's still on that credit card, you're going to pay over whatever your APR is, right? And right now I think it's 20% is kind of average, 25, 27% on top of the debt that you already owe. So be very intentional about spending your credit card. And for me, I've in the last few years now have use my credit cards as leverage. So now it's what I use to spend, because I know I can earn points, I can earn miles, and that's what you have. That's how you spend money, not with debit cards, because you're not gaining off of that,
yeah.
right? So as long as you can put that money back on the credit card. So even if you want to do it for gas, like I have a gas credit card, use it for your gas, but make sure you're paying it back. Yeah. So don't do anything. And it's entirety. Yeah, don't put something on it. You got to put all of it on it, and make sure you're paying it.
$5 more. No, pay it off.
Yeah.
And one thing I forgot about this too. I was using my credit card for the same thing, just to earn the rewards. And like, I like to go out to eat. So what I do is I take all of our rewards and I buy a whole bunch of gift cards to different restaurants that I like, and I will use those gift cards to go out to eat. So it kind of helps with that too. Or you can use it for travel. It's a bunch of different things you can use the rewards for.
Yeah.
So
just make it work for you. Credit does not have to be scary. I know those words, Experian, TransUnion, like I know those are scary words, but you really can make credit benefit you. You just got to learn about it. It's not going away. This is how y'all beautiful country is set up. So it's not going nowhere. You got to become best friends with your credit.
Like you said, a good thing though. Use the credit card for your daily, your monthly bills and pay it off there. Use it to your advantage. That's a good point.
Yeah, definitely. And I like the idea of adding the as an authorized user, your children as an authorized user. What age did you add your son?
14.
14. I didn't see it. I didn't know about it until he was like 16, I think. Not 16, I'm sorry. He just turned 16. I didn't know about it until like a couple years ago. And I'm like, you can do that?
I didn't know about it until somebody told me about it. And I was like, okay, let's do it, you know?
But if you're adding them as an authorized user, you have to make sure you're in good credit standing, right? Because you don't want to.
It's like back in the day, yeah, my mom put this in my name. Now they credit messed up. That is true. You got to make sure you're doing good. That's step one. If you're struggling with it, don't mess them up. Like, get yourself in a good space first, and then once you're consistently doing good things, then you can add them on. If that's your goal.
Yes. Yeah. Just to spend responsibly, spend responsibly, save responsibly, all that. And there's a book that you had mentioned before, and I know you mentioned it and I ordered it, and of course my mind's going blank.
Yes, I got a couple resources for people out there. This is a good one. Hopefully it doesn't come inverted. It's called The Psychology of Money. And this is by Morgan Housel. Or Housel?
You hold it up. I can see it in the camera. Okay.
Yep. Sorry.
Yeah.
Probably can do an image on this, The Psychology of Money. And then this became a popular book because the person had a whole Netflix show. So this is I Will Teach You How to Be Rich.
Yeah.
Teach you
I
to be
just
rich.
got into it. Highly recommend it. Yes.
So these are 2 books. And another one probably is Atomic Habits. I think that if you're just having a hard time being disciplined, that's probably a good book to have as well. So
yeah. And I think like with anything, and this is what, and I used to love, 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 love reading when I was younger. Like I used to lay up in between my mom and my stepdad in their bed reading. And then I lost the joy of it because of like, responsibilities of life. And so in the past couple years though, like I've been really, getting back into the joy of it, but more for learning now, like not like, nasty romance or anything. Yeah. So more into learning. I think you should like pick up a book, you should be reading at least 5 to 10 pages a day. Now out of 24 hours, that's nothing, but you should be reading something that's enhancing your knowledge, that's going to take you to the next level. And I'm not necessarily, it doesn't have to be about finances, but something that's going to improve your lifestyle. And so finances is something that we all need to be aware of. And so just take some time. 10 pages is what, maybe 30 minutes out of your day. You could do it while walking, or, you're laying in the bed. Get off of TikTok and Instagram, read that book, because you want to be able to make yourself knowledgeable so you can have that lifestyle you want when you retire, when you get older. You got to set up the stepping stones. Like it's wealth and financial stability isn't just going to come to you out of the blue. So
it's not. And if you don't want to pick up the physical book, it's always on Audible too. So that's if you prefer listening to it. Some people have a busy life, so get it on Audible. Knowledge is power, right?
Yeah. So, and what I found with reading too, like some books I can listen to and some like I can read, because I'll find myself falling asleep or having to go back and read the page. Like, oh shoot, I forgot. Or I don't even know what I read, because you just find yourself reading the words. So for me, more of those kind of books, it's Audible for me. Like I enjoy hearing them while I'm cleaning or whatnot, or driving or something like that. So so that's a good recommendation.
To me, I'm the opposite. These type of books I have to, because I need to jot down some notes. I might want to highlight something. Like this one got my little sticky notes in it and stuff like that. It's like I'm studying. So it's different with those like the books I do for fun. I like to listen to because I can do everything else, and I might like, oh, I need to go back and listen to that, or I might miss something. I can rewind it, but it's not nothing I need to hone in. But everybody's different, so it's different options out there. There's no excuses. And if you don't got Audible, you can get, I think the local libraries even do some type of audio books if you have a library card.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So what is our last pieces of advice? And again, we're going to come back with more episodes about different areas of finance, because it's so much to cover.
It is.
Yeah. But Shay, what do you want to leave them with this time?
I just want to leave with the importance of financial stability. The main thing is having a budget and having a savings and being disciplined. Those are the 3 things I think I want to leave with. And have that budget breathe a little bit. Don't have it too tight where you feel like you're going to mess up. Let it breathe a little bit. Let it maneuver to where you at, And if it's even with the savings, if it's $5, $10, don't try to do everything at once. Like small things, work your way out of it. It's feasible. You can get out of this. Especially these are the people I'm talking about living check to check that feel like, oh man, I'm overburdened. It's feasible to get out of.
Yeah, I don't care what kind of money you make. Like you can do it. Small habits lead to big outcomes. My last piece of advice is scare money don't make no money. No, I'm just joking. Mine is knowledge is power. Seriously. So you don't know what you don't know until you don't know. So you gotta, again, just increase your knowledge, get out there and educate yourself so that you can have this amazing life that God has promised to you. So
it's a lot of knowledge out there.
Yeah. So good discussion, Shay. I am excited to continue this series, because we definitely are going to come back, like I said, with some more information for you all to grab some nuggets, because we want to see everybody thrive.
For sure.
Learn from our mistakes. So that is it from us tonight from MTV.
If y'all have some stories of finance, stories that you guys want to, definitely post it in the comments. Find us on social media. Let us know. Let us hear your stories, or if you had a way that you came out of it that we didn't mention. Share your story. You can help somebody else.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Good night. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
that.